Welcome everyone to a quick AMD RMA update. In a previous video we burned some memory lanes here of this precious 5950X due to not even really my fault, but actually I upgraded the BIOS, as you sometimes do, because USB connectivity stuff, and yeah, all I got was auto voltage increase. I don't know what the stuff was. Maybe, well, the CPU even undervolted for my usually improved performance boosting. But anyway, long story short, didn't post anymore, and then I figured with trial and error and stuff that just with this CPU, even another board and a good CPU in that board, that memory channel A doesn't work anymore. And so I started the RMA process. Some people suggested AMD is good with that, no worries. Although those people had like swapping CPUs with segmentation faulting stuff of Zen version 1 and so on. So maybe that is a different thing if they're already aware that there is some inherent problem at times or something. Anyway, this RMA process is super hilarious. Look at this. I'm like 1 week in, 1 week and 4 emails. And if the thing would be like, if those tech support stuff, which is, yeah, probably somewhere in Asia or somewhere, Asia or India, some outsourced stuff, if they would at least clearly say, yeah, we don't RMA this, okay, whatever, it's disappointing, and I would probably rant about that here. But the whole process is a joke, right? So I would have, anyway, let's take a look. So I filled this in the web form, and then I got this, dear René, ignore this is just Emacs of Unicode stuff. Your support request has been reviewed and updated. Thank you for your email. I understand you wish to claim warranty on your AMD Ryzen 9 5950X. Could you please provide the following information? Claim the verification photo of your processor installed in the motherboard socket, clearly showing the model and serial number, the original vendor provided invoice, received document clearly displaying the details of the purchase. And please note, for online purchases only the original PDF or the original invoice email will be accepted. It's a little bit, yeah, if you order this online and old-fashioned, like don't get a PDF, then nah, no papers. Exact make and model of your motherboard and its current BIOS version. I mean, I understand. I hear already wondering why the freaking heck did they want a photo. The problem for me was I already, obviously memory channel A doesn't work anymore. I had already my previous year 3950X in there. For me this meant super annoying that they want this bloody photo of the processor installed. For me this meant over 30 minutes, because I have here in water cooling AIO liquid cooling loop and a Debauer offset plate. So just even if I would not have that easily 30 minutes of extra time, I don't really quite get why they need a photo of the board. But they're fine. I spent probably 40 minutes of disassembling, opening the case, AIO thing, and then the Debauer offset plate thing. I thought I better photograph that without that, and then reinstalling this 3950. Also, additional risk, right? I could at that time also one careful Linus Tech Media Group stuff dropping the CPU, and then my 3950X is also dead. But yeah, I found this already a little bit annoying, but now whatever. Details of the troubleshooting performed, including results that prove a defect processor. Once we have verified your provided information to our satisfaction, we will happily authorize your RMA return. In order to upgrade, yeah, also then this is only a template. In order to update the service request, please respond without deleting or modifying the service request reference number in the email subject. I also found this. I always wondered because the subject didn't even have that, only in the email or in the email correspondence below. I was already wondering, let's hope this freaking works, because my email subject gives extra information, only confusing. Please note the service request will automatically close if you do not receive response within 10 days and cannot be reopened. Also, yeah, thanks for that, amazing stuff. If it's not feasible to respond within 10 days, feel free to open a new service request and reference the ticket for continued support. It's like, yeah, what the heck, it sounds a little bit silly, but yeah. I would understand like 6 months or something of not having old requests, but this sounds to me a little bit superfluous extra stuff. Anyway, of course I responded with the BIOS stuff, and the photo. Then ironically, they then responded, dear René, response service. Also, yeah, response And I mean, service history, it never had a history, so it's, yeah, continues to be misleading or something. But anyway, thank you for your email. Seems something went wrong. No attachment received. It's like, dude, what the heck? Of course, I went to my sent folder, and of course, sure enough, it had that attachment. So I have no idea. Amazing help desk systems in 2021. Can you please check and resend it or upload it to Google Drive? Provide a link, and then the usual boilerplate. Of course, like, nah, I then sent it differently. I sent it with Apple Mail because it is still my 30%ish of still having some other commercial software to write here. Maybe the issue was Apple inline. Then I responded to that with Apple Mail as plain text, not rich text, and Apple Mail still displayed the attachments as inline, although it was plain text, and somehow there is an option like Windows-friendly attachments. This was somehow grayed out because Apple usability and peak bugs or so on. Yeah. Of course, I uploaded this. I wanted to process with this stuff, so I also uploaded that to Google Drive. So I responded. I just don't want to leak my service request number and stuff. Anyway, so responded with a photo again, and with a link to Google Drive, like, hey, I attached it slightly different, and here's a Google Drive link. Then they responded. I would appreciate if you could write your service request number on a piece of paper. What? And include it in the processor picture such that both CPU serial number and service request number are clearly legible. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? In order to, so the thing is, this overlapped with my email. I didn't even, so I have to say I overlooked that. Because I sent two emails. Like, first I replied with attaching it differently, and then I thought I'd better still upload this. So I sent like two emails, so this was in the middle of two emails, so this is why I overlooked this, actually, I have to say. And also, I mean, the information content, right? This stuff, between this stuff, and this is why I even overlooked this, right? If you clutter your emails with header and footer and in between some messages, like, yeah, but anyway, why? This is totally, I mean, is this some some scam protection? But even this is so hilarious for me, because if this is some scam protection thing of that I really have the CPU, I mean, what the bloody freaking heck is even going on there? If I send the CPU in there, they freaking see the CPU and serial number anyway. So why do I need to have your photos with? Anyway, so I overlooked this, and this morning I got, because this was in between two of my emails. Thank you for email and providing the picture. Hey, now finally something arrived. Amazing help desk stuff. However, you're not providing the required details as we requested in multiple times. It's like, I find this really unfriendly, to be frank, and I don't need this American like, yes sir, please sir, whatever sir, but hey, a little bit decent, especially this is like 1 week. And I still don't even freaking know whether they would swap this. So I make here photos of bloody freaking paper handwritten ticket number things. In the meantime, I hope the next email, so what I did is I took like a paper and put the CPU on it. I hope the next email is not, hey, we want this freaking handwritten paper in your freaking motherboard, because I would need to 45 minutes disassemble this shit and hold some bloody, by the way, not the most easy to hold, even on a table to photograph it, so that due to reflection and lightning, that even the freaking CPU serial number is clearly visible, which is relatively small, even on a relatively high-end smartphone. So you, with your phone and fiddle, so I don't really want to do that, like disassembled with my CPU socket and then Linus Tech Tip style, like moving the paper wrong and bending there something in the socket or who knows what. Please write your service request number on a piece of paper, including, so I mean, they didn't write here photograph it in front of the freaking mainboard, right? Please write your service request number on a piece of paper and include it in the processor picture such that both the CPU serial number and service request number are clearly legible. It's like, why? Why even freaking? And so never, I actually thought they discuss overclocking and whatnot. The whole point is only send us a freaking picture of the CPU, not have you overclocked it, have you overvolted it, something. 4 emails in, and We are only discussing a piece of paper with a freaking ticket number. And that is for a highest tier enthusiast workstation kind of like stuff a little bit irritating, to be honest. I would have understood if they discuss overclocking and overvolting and maybe it's your fault, but this service history I didn't expect. On better news, because this is also serves a little bit as a stability test, because recurring subscriber, we have this more live channel where we do all this fun Linux stuff, and we had server problems with, I can actually open that probably somewhere, like Asus X570 AWS. All of this is only, and I said this before, previous video, don't beta test this. I only updated this in the name of science in this YouTube channel to gather some more data, and all I got was burned memory lanes of memory channel A. This is hilarious. And I said this in the previous video, don't help this company. You know, this are the highest tiers. This is a workstation kind of sorta, at least not gaming named board, and the highest tier enthusiast high-end CPU before epic thread ripping. And we are beta testing, so these are really expensive products, and we are beta testing them. So can they not freaking, we are a year in the lifetime of this board, and we are still beta testing this Agesa shit, right? I should have made this more clear. Don't beta test this stuff, because these are freaking high-end products and they should just freaking work. We should not waste 45 minutes here or easily 2 hours of dialing in the memory clocks and whatnot and booting and rebooting and testing, and then some shit doesn't work anymore. So 2019 6, so this board is not exactly 2002. So yeah, we are still over. I own this board. I own this board since well, probably not a year. Probably I own this board since 6 months or so. But this board is older. I think I had this firmware. So yeah, 1 year old firmware. I had this initially. And I should have made it more clear in the previous video of not beta testing this stuff for the companies, because they should do the testing, right? So we do the testing. They release like half-baked shit of maybe something works, and oh, by the way, beta version, maybe test if this fixes some shit for you, and then providing that even with as available basis does not give you any warranties and maybe some shit fries. Totally disappointing stuff. Last but not least, one good thing, I had the previous video, I wasted for sure 8 hours previously when I first updated the BIOS for improved performance and stability here after this 1302. After this one, this is what the board came with and worked quite well. And then I eventually updated something like this here also for system performance. Who would not want improved system performance, improved system stability? And ironically, most of the stuff is in reverse, right? If they write improved system performance and improved system stability, often for me, it was less performance and less stability. So thanks for that, professional there. So yeah, I will update this even less. And I made previous videos because previously they didn't allow downdating the BIOS, right? Which I found, I upgraded that, and previously significantly worse performance, and couldn't significantly reduced memory clocks, and I couldn't downgrade that, right? I edited the BIOS, I tried to change the version with UEFI BIOS tools and stuff, and to no avail. At the end, I added the PCI IDs for this board and generation and chipset and processor and stuff, and used Linux Flash ROM. And thankfully, I didn't brick this board. Of course, huge chance, I would have guessed like 90% chance of bricking that board with flashing this with Linux, because I never tried this. Nobody ever tried this because I had to patch the USB PCI ID in there, and so my guesstimate was 90% chance of bricking the bloody board, and thankfully this worked, because also you couldn't just flash this cap file, encapsulated EFI stuff, but I had to use some UEFI tool thing to dump this bloody capsule into some binary file, and thankfully I guess this for sure will mess something up, but lo and behold, that even worked. Last positive note, I didn't expect this because I now have, even with the 39, so much to improve system stability and performance and stuff, even with my yesteryear's 3950X, which I'm currently running because the bloody 5950X has a burnt memory lane. I had huge USB issues, so much to this bloody BIOS, supposed to fix some USB connectivity issues, thank you for that, mates. Totally unexpected that the latest BIOS, so the 3402, I will not test others now because I'm already burnt enough with all this shit, but this BIOS, maybe due to my previous videos, who knows what, maybe I was called stupid idiot of random BIOS option stuff, of overclocking net and Reddit and stuff. I hope my videos contribute to this stuff, but this BIOS allowed me to flash the 3302, which previously was sort of perfect. So yeah, test here, because in 3 months or so, the whole of Q1 of 2021, I don't remember ever having any USB hiccup here, which is ironic, which like I thought I preventively upgrade to that, and I had multiple Elgato 4K Camlink failures here, live on the More Life channel. So I can only guess, I think this was also with the 5950X, which I could still use with just memory channel B, which is obviously less than ideal. So yeah, there is that. But at least, so I hope this is permanent. I don't know if my shout outs here have an influence to that. I hope it does. And probably share, like, and subscribe and support this channel for spreading awareness of how broken this stuff is all over the place. And last but not least, of people like, yeah, do it better. Yes, I would with pleasure do it better. Give me some documentation, some spec, and I join the core boot efforts in doing an open source BIOS, because even previous video, just watch that, saving, loading options. And I even tried, people told me, have you tried the USB, saving to USB stuff, because usually between BIOS upgrades you can't reuse your settings, which is hilarious, and you need to make photos or write it down on good old-fashioned paper or stuff and dial in all the numbers. People told me, but have you tried USB saving? No, I didn't. I even overlooked this option as per usual. I tried it in the meantime. Sure, saving and loading works from USB drive. However, I looked into the file on the USB drive. Was it n.nv something or so, NVM or something of that sort? And it's also binary, right? I would expect it would be so easy. Can they not just freaking, I understand for saving this in the VRAM, they don't have so much space. Although I think it should still be compatible, of you can still structure that with some version number or stuff and still load previous stuff. It's not rocket science. But the USB saved thing, I would be so easy, just some JSON, XML, certainly not ideal, a little bit verbose, but just save some freaking key value stuff of JSON. That's not too difficult, of CPU, F-clock and so on. It's not rocket science to at least load 99% of the options. I understand sometimes there might be new option or stuff, but just, it's not rocket science to make BIOS option loading, saving and loading between versions possible, at least for 99% of the options. You could even bonus points, and yes, this stuff is large, right? 20 megs of BIOS, hopefully something compressed. This BIOS is 32 megabytes. There can certainly a lot of software and libraries in there for parsing JSON and stuff. And this is only some 100K of JSON and proper option handling, because bonus points for loading previous BIOS version stuff. And if there is a 1% option stuff of even displaying this and this and this options are new and initialized to default values, like whatever the case might be, SVM or memory timings. But usually there is not even a new option, right? Like think PCI resizable bar support, or above 4 GB encoding and so on. Bonus points for displaying these options are new and don't have a value, or these options don't exist anymore and are not used or something. It's not rocket science. Even this is not like gigabytes of software if you do this properly, right? This is just some, you can do this in a bloody DOS program in 64K if you wanted to, but even if you use modern methods of writing everything with freaking IDEs that people who can't program with 5 frameworks for that, it's probably less than half a megabyte, even if you try to make it humongous. Anyway, I find this tool stuff hilarious. I only hope that after all they swap me the CPU, this is still after 1 week into this shit here, still unclear to me what they will do. Also sending this in, they could still say approved or something, sent it in with some label or something. In the States they sent it, they probably have a RMA processing center in Miami or something. I have no idea where they have this in Germany or Europe. We will see if something comes out of that. Yeah, don't play long at home. Don't waste your time testing each BIOS, and leave me in the comments below what is your experience with bloody BIOS updates and improved performance and stability, or failing stuff. Ace Attack writes, this board is supposed to support ECC UDIM RAM because catered towards professionals, and they should only release final BIOS builds, not better. Yeah, I mean, ironically, I have not even tested a better BIOS right before you say better. No, I've tested this. I thought I have this. This is perfect. This is only very tiny, yeah, patch A. I thought, hey, this is perfect, and this is patch A for USB connectivity issues. That certainly should be a tiny little fix to have for the. I said this before, right? Ironically, I thought this, given the history of all this BIOS crap here, I thought this will be the last BIOS I update for 6 or 12 months or something, and finally have a rock solid, stable experience. And this was, ironically, yeah, one more thing, one last update, and it's like, can't make this stuff up. Source writes, they will skip beta 2, but kind of nervous to install non-beta. Yeah, so this is really trial and error. And this is also not rocket science engineering, right? I mean, if NASA and SpaceX would do this, they would have only exploding rockets, like one of the Russians one, where the gravity sensor was installed upside down, like 180 degrees. Also, you would think that rocket science, they have this mechanically encoded, because this one Russian rocket like turned around and jammed back into Earth or something. It's like, yeah, this is not rocket science. This is random trial and error, like you would think of Microsoft doing that on Windows. And this is, given this track record of even 1 year, over 1 year in, improved stability and performance, and usually it does the opposite thing, I can only test this. From the outside, it looks like random trial and error with often not very good outcome. And yeah, I will be so much more careful in the future. And again, looking forward to your comments. Hope you learned something, and to see you soon for the next videos and updates to come. And of course, 1200 drop frames. We can quickly, yeah, so we built some stuff. So far no USB glitch. This is not, I need to live stream a couple of hours. This is not a clear. So previous video we built here all this T2 things. Which one did I choose? There are ARM64, and we obviously need to continue that. PowerPC 64LE, and let's like try RISC 564 for all this good stuff. But yeah, still have to keep my fingers crossed and thumbs pressed and stuff for hoping that this RMA stuff will go through. This is so disappointing. Kevin also feels like we're back in the 90s with the BIOS updates and stuff just breaks. So yeah, do you, I mean, just from watching my videos, or do you also have first-hand experience, or just reading other people's Reddit? But this is also, the Windows users always tell the Linux users, nah, everything is amazing, we don't need an open source BIOS. But with an open source BIOS, imagine we could diff this stuff. We could see between the AGESA stuff of what initialization it does, what it changed with memory training, what it changed with Infinity Fabric training, or we can just like add proper. We are not satisfied with even the option save and load, and could just add there some proper option parsing, but no, it needs to be closed sourced because intellectual property, and all we get is this random bullshit. Some sounds from the comments that for Kevin multiple times, it's strange. Yeah, I could also not rule out, I mean, one last thing, and then we probably call this a video. It could be, I showed you in a previous video, I loaded the, given that people told me, yeah, sometimes it works and stuff, and it's of course a lot of work to dial in here all these videos. I cannot even rule out that this option save and loading here messed something up, because I actually did load the settings, and what I usually do, or what, yeah, because loading the settings and then going to save and you get a list of changes, which is already good orientation. However, I have the feeling it does not necessarily list everything due to bugs and imperfections. Sometimes you load the old version BIOS and it only has garbage all over, like options are empty and stuff. Yeah, thank you very much. This format obviously totally changed. But with this last BIOS, it showed the options okay, and I only changed like some I wanted to change. So it could also be that all the clusterfuck happened because I loaded the previous BIOS settings, which I only sometimes do if it looks like really perfect and without any messed up things. So it could be that, or whatever. Could also be that there's a generic Agesa thing. But also, so all of this AMD responses here, so nothing was of, people also on Reddit like overclocking.net, maybe tell them the whole story, maybe they contact you, maybe engineers are interested in pinpointing that or troubleshooting. That's like, look at this, all they want a freaking photo, not like, hey, we have a Linux kernel developer. I think I mentioned there in one of those replies, yeah, I'm Linux kernel developer, I didn't overclock it and was running this in stock and it was working for some months, which of course it was. Not to irritate them too much with the last BIOS, not that they tell me, yeah, contact Asus for support, because yeah, thank you very much. Obviously Asus will not replace the CPU for me. But not that someone transfers this to some, hey, here's some kernel developer who knows what they're doing and there might be something more widespread wrong with Agesa or some BIOS update. It's like, yeah, send us a photo of some paper on with the CPU. Yeah, so much to amazing efforts of troubleshooting that. Dorf Schmidt asked, can you use a CPU with only one memory channel? Yes, you can. I found this, I was only lucky, right? I swapped this with the other X470i, and luckily due to the content creation stuff here, I had the 3950X and the 2700. So I usually, what most people don't have at home, I could swap this a little bit, and I figured, wait, the other CPUs work here, and the CPU also doesn't work in the other board, so yeah, something's with the CPU now. And so yeah, you can run this with one memory channel, but with degraded performance, right? And compiling this stuff here, recurring viewers might have seen that I have here 4 modules in with for a total of 96 whopping gigabytes. So yeah, I have even run that for some days with one memory channel, but I would prefer to have more than 32 or 64 gigs of memory. I have here already 96 gigs of memory. I also prefer, well, I prefer the extra 10% performance or so for dual memory, and we had previous live streams running out of memory for compiling all the LVM Clang stuff of embarrassing parallel workloads. So yeah, you can, which is, even if AMD doesn't swap it, I can still use it somewhat, of course not ideal. Certainly sucks pretty much to have this half burnt IO die. But yeah, you can, but if you want, like if you're not having such high-end workloads as I have, then yeah, of course you'll lose some frames. In games, of course, maybe you lose, I don't know, a frame or two or so, but with this embarrassingly compiled workload, it can be up to 10%. Although, yeah, for me it's more, I could even live with the performance. For me it's like more maximum memory capacity. It's like, yeah, if I build everything at once, then more than 64 gig of memory would be nice, which is why in the meantime we have here 96. But yeah, as usual, getting a little bit long discussing all this stuff and going on and on. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and leave me in the comments below what your comments to this kind of RMA behavior. It's like yeah. See you next time.